Good morning, everyone, to Inspiring Ladies of Cyber. I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Nothing suspicious happening here. We're just talking about educational stuff, sharing the knowledge. And yeah, why am I here? To highlight people that are important to me, to be better at public speaking. Yeah, to share the knowledge, to all of that, and hopefully someone could find the value out of this. And this podcast is the point of it is to uh, highlight women that are important to the industry, important to me, that I think they're cool. And so that's why I invited Mara Levy today. So welcome to my podcast, and thank you for accepting. Could you at first tell us about yourself and your background in cybersecurity? Pretty much introduce yourself to everyone. Like, yeah, go.
Hi. Thank you so much, Dorota. I have to tell you, this is my first time on a podcast, so forgive me. I'm a little nervous. Um, let's see. Who am I? I'm Mara Levy, and I am a third-party risk analyst, IT risk analyst. I work for a health system, pretty large one, and I'm on a team that evaluates third-party vendors. My background, let's see. This is like really my fourth career. So I'm relatively newer, I guess. I'm mid-career, I guess, but I'm relatively newer in the cybersecurity world, even though I've been doing cybersecurity for a long time, but not really calling it that. Like I started out in journalism, actually. I have a degree in journalism. I worked for several newspapers. Remember those? Um, and I started out as a writer and I loved it, but I got an opportunity to learn how to be a web developer and web designer, and I just I jumped from being a journalist to being a web developer, and I ended up starting my own business, which I had for maybe 12 years. It was a small company. We're like really on the ground floor as far as like developing websites. Um, Maybe there were about 4 or 5 of us. We all collaborated, and it was great. I worked for a lot of small businesses, and after that, after a time, I was like tired of being my own my own employer. So I went back to work and I got into educational technology. And I worked for 2 different schools. I worked for a small private school where I basically did all of their database stuff and ended up that's really where I started, like, really learning cybersecurity because they had none at all, and they were just completely clueless as far as, keeping things safe. We can talk about that one. And then I worked for a school district here, also doing IT, and I worked there for a couple years, and now I'm finally, I can call myself officially in cybersecurity, um, in my current job.
Thank you for yeah answering. That's actually you answered also the next question I was about to ask, and I want to follow up with like you explained all of your background details of the uh, professional level, but can you tell us something about you? Who is Mara, and what brings you joy?
Oh, what brings me joy? Um, well, I have 2 grown children. I'm married. What brings me joy? I love music. I love going to concerts. You might see all my Weezer stuff here. I'm kind of an obsessive fan. I've seen them all over the world. Um, and I love working out. And I try to like do a lot of balancing, to make sure that I get in the things that I like doing.
That makes sense. Thank you. And I'm a music fan too. I even have like 2 guitars. Ro- I don't think they are in this room, but yeah, yeah, I find some similarities uh, between us already.
I wish I could play. I wish I could play. I love listening to music. Um, and I really go deep, but I cannot play a note, I can't sing anything, but if I'm at a show, I will be screaming all the lyrics.
Okay, thank you for answering that one as well. So I want to ask some questions that are like more uh, about your current job, uh, current
Mhm.
career. So can you tell us, as a third-party risk analyst, can you walk us through the process of conducting a risk assessment, and what are some common mistakes that organizations make when evaluating external vendors or partners?
Well, the initially what we do is we like this process was already put in place before I got there. So what we do is we send out a questionnaire to the vendor, like say actually no, let me take a step back. A department in the hospital system wants to have some kind of technology, and they have to go through a lot of rigmarole, like red tape, to like get to the point where I see it. I think I'm the last step in the whole process. Um, when I get a w- when I get a device, say there's a medical device that needs to be um, evaluated, and usually that's what I work on. I work on medical devices, research devices. Um, I will first send a questionnaire out to the vendor, and a lot of these vendors are small. All they do is they make this one particular device. And in the questionnaire, we ask a lot of security questions. That was, it's based on this, but like it's, we have a series of controls that have to be met. Um, so we send that to the vendor, and then the vendor gets back to me. And sometimes I'll have to like follow up with the vendor, because they don't actually answer the questions. Um, And then I'll write a report and decide, whether or not this particular device or system is safe to work within the hospital system and, not leak PHI and PII. Um, Common mistake. I think so. My team is actually pretty big. I think there's maybe 20 people on my team. Um, and the common mistake I see among the team is that there are like some people, like I think some people don't follow up on on the answers that the vendor will give you. Like they'll maybe copy it verbatim into the report, and it doesn't really say anything. But that's just my opinion. I don't like want to talk about like what's good and what's bad, but I think that just the common mistake is that there's not a lot of consistency between the different analysts and how they answer questions, because it's such a every device is different, and every device has an incredibly different scoping, and how and what does it touch and how the data moves through it. So you have to really look at each thing individually, but there can be some more consistency as far as how we answer questions and how we um, determine what's good and what's not good. Hope
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, it does actually. And you mentioned providing reports to to application and business owners. So can you share an example of a successful mitigation strategy you've implemented in one of your previous roles?
In one of my previous roles, I mean,
Yeah,
every single report that I do is a mitigation strategy. Basically,
mhm.
that's all I do is I make a report about like, okay, you don't use enterprise account management and you use local accounts, so you need a security exemption, and then you need to um, have an SOP as far as like how are you going to handle these local accounts, those kinds of things. Um, I think in my current job it's pretty, straightforward. There's it's rare that I will get a device that does not have, or a system that does not have any mitigations attached to it. Most of them have to do, as I said, with account management and with and also with patching. You'd be surprised how many companies don't regularly patch their systems. But as far as a successful mitigation strategy, I have to like go back to like my job when I was working for the small private school, because they didn't know anything about cybersecurity at all. Like, it wasn't even a word then, I think. And for instance, when they started on the internet, they gave email accounts to all of their students and staff. And by the time I got there, it had been like maybe 15 years of people with email accounts that haven't been used in God knows how long. You know, people who have graduated, left, staff members, and I made sure that they got rid of all of those old email accounts because they were just creating a big vulnerability to the system, because nobody was using them, nobody was logging onto them. Or if they were logging onto them, um, I don't know why they would be still using their high school email account 10 years later, but there were a few of them. It was strange.
Yeah, maybe they really like that one.
I don't know. It was just, I mean, I guess they weren't really technical to begin with. And like, it's like that person, how every once in a while you'll find that person who still has an AOL account or a Yahoo account.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like one question in the chat. Do you see often a lot of legacy devices in your missions? Do you treat them differently than the regular IT devices?
Yes. Hmm. If something is end of life or end of service, in particular, if it's end of service, then, but if it has to be used, because sometimes, the business always comes first, like sometimes the business needs to operate with a system that may not be the safest. Um, we have to put it on a, segmented network. We have to make sure that it has special care, make sure that can patch it as best we can. I mean, we try not to have legacy devices if we can. Like, that's always a finding if it's a legacy device. For instance, like last year, Windows 11, Windows 10, you know, there was a push, no more Windows 10, and anything that past October of last year that was Windows 10 based had to either have an exemption or a long-term service plan. Or no, actually had to and a long-term service plan, not or, and.
Yeah, that's good because yeah, that I don't know if there's like even any support for Windows 10 still.
There is, like, you can get a long-term service plan that, like, goes until, like, I think 2032,
Oh, that's good.
but, yeah,
But it's
yeah,
pretty,
but
but
it is
it's pretty
it's
old.
end of life, but yeah, it's pretty old. It's end of life, but not necessarily end of service, and, that's something I just learned. That's something different, that there are 2 different things, end of life and end of service.
Yeah, I learned something too right now. Thank you. Okay, next one is like more in the security awareness ballpark. So how do you approach making cybersecurity personal and practical for individuals? What are some simple steps that people can take to improve their own cybersecurity?
Slow down. I think that's the biggest thing. Slow
Yeah,
down and
think.
think. Yes, and it's really hard. It's so hard because it's just um humans are really the biggest vulnerability out there, I think. It doesn't matter how many layers of security you have, you can so easily get social engineered.
Oh, for sure.
Um and I think it needs to be easy and understandable, and you have to, I think, kind of meet people where they are. Why is this person continuously clicking on the phishing email? Why are they constantly failing it and having to go through training? What is it? Where's the blockage? You have to like make it personal and find out what it is that they're not understanding or seeing, and you also have to make it personal in a way that like people can relate to what they're doing. What is the why? What happens when you click this? You
Exactly.
know, who is it gonna hurt? It's not good, "Oh, it'll hurt my company." Yeah, but if it hurts your company, you might not have a job. Or or if it you click on this and, you get compromised and then your family might not like lose all their money, that kind of thing. So you have to like meet people where they are, I think.
Yeah, that's important. And
Mhm.
there's like a lot of social engineering attacks that, yeah, start with social engineering or someone clicking a link or at like called phone call to help desk, and then ends with ransomware and like, yeah, all files encrypted. So yeah, a tragedy pretty much.
I know. I mean, I think about like the MGM, breach a couple years
Yeah,
ago
yeah, yeah.
in Las Vegas. It like totally shut down Las Vegas, and it was all because of a social engineering attack. And like, I have to wonder, like, there hasn't been a lot that came up yet about Stryker and like how it got compromised, but I'm wondering if there was a human element involved. I'm following it to find out.
Yeah, let me know. That's interesting actually. Okay, and next one, I wanted to ask, can you explain the importance of GRC in preventing cyber threats, and how do organizations ensure they're compliant with regulations?
Procedures, policies. Um, Usually things happen if some things go wrong when you're not following the right procedure. Um, so you have to have really clear procedures, things that people understand, not only like how what the step by step is, but the why, because a lot of times people don't follow procedures because they want to save time. Um, so this is funny, like so my dad growing up, my dad is do you know what OSHA is? Occupational Safety and Health.
Hmm.
In the United States, it's it protects workers, against accidents. My dad is a career OSHA guy, and he worked for the government for 25 years, and then after that, he retired and he started his own company. You know, and he would talk about he would come home so many times and with these horror stories about these people who were injured, and the reason why they were injured was because they didn't follow some step. This guy fell off the building because he did not have the harness on for some reason. He fell and, now he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Um, and it kind of also applies here, like, procedures are there for a reason. Um, and even though it may take an extra bit of time to do something, it's important to follow them because um, if you don't, then we could get breached.
Yeah, simple as that.
Hmm.
Thank you. That actually you painted it well as a good like example for my imagination. Okay, thank you. And next one, as a policy advocate, what are some key issues that you're passionate about addressing in the cybersecurity community?
Policy issues. Oh, I don't know. That's a hard question. Um, Again, like, just I think it comes down to communication. And, as I told you, I'm a former writer. I started as a writer. I'm still a
Yeah,
writer.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm passionate about communication and meeting people where they are. So, GRC isn't just like a a set of rules that people have to follow, or, guidelines and procedures and policies. You know, People have to understand why they're there. So I think the education issue is something that I'm passionate about, that I think needs to, am I answering your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. And you mentioned advocating for accessibility and education in security programs. Uh, I kind of got your questions by reading your LinkedIn profile. So some of them
Mhm,
might not exactly be what you already answered in the podcast, but what I saw there. So I think
mhm.
that's one of those. So can you elaborate on why these are essential components of effective cybersecurity policies? So
Well, again, it's like why. It's the
yeah,
why. People have to understand the why. Like, you have to make it personal to them. Like, why do they have this procedure in place? Why I can't tell you how many times, like, as I told you, there's a lot of red tape that comes around, like getting a device approved. Can take sometimes months. My when I it gets to my step, the final step of the cybersecurity step, um, sometimes these devices have been wrapped up in red tape for quite a while. So the business owners often say to me, "Oh my gosh, why do we have to have yet another review? And I've already answered these questions, and I don't want to do this. And like, can't you just approve it? I've already told this to everybody else, and I have to explain to them, like, well, I'm new to the process, and I need to." And there's a reason why we're going through here, and like some of the questions I may ask may not be something that somebody else may ask. Um, but the bottom line is we have to keep the data safe. And so this is our way of being thorough. And they have to understand the why. As I said, they have to understand the why. And once they do, then they're more likely to cooperate and be easy, I think.
yeah, I think that's important to like have this like human touch, like quote unquote. So like explain things, and so people are understand that it's like not you're like making them their life hard, but you're trying to like make things easier and yeah, figure out how the process could be better. And so if they help you, then maybe you can help them one day. And yeah, that yeah, all makes sense, right?
Hmm.
So another question is a bit more like on the personal side. So can you share a challenging experience or setback that you overcame in your career, and how did you learn from it and grow as a professional? If you had any like events like that.
Yeah, I would have to say that I had a really bad job. Like, and it wasn't the work necessarily, it was the community of people. And I had a really tough boss who was hard to work with. And I think I still have a little bit of PTSD from that. Because it gets to a point where it was one of those situations where it didn't matter what I did, if it was good or bad, I was still going to get yelled at for whatever reason. And it took a long time for me to realize that I could just leave and go. Um, but at the same time, one of the things that I thought that I could do to like maybe improve myself at that job, um, was to like get Security Plus and like finally just like go for it and like say, okay, I'm really interested in cybersecurity. Maybe I can contribute here in a more of official way. Um, so it motivated this terrible job motivated me to get myself moving and then finally get out.
Yeah, I kind of relate to that, and I understand having PTSD. And I had like an experience when no matter what I did, and I put a lot of effort in everything because I believe that what I do should have like quality to it, you know. should be good.
Mhm.
And so no matter
Mhm.
what effort that I put in, there was always something that was not right, and even like a comma in not the right place was a terrible mistake of mine. So I felt like no matter what I do, it's always like I'm the bad black sheep or something. It's like always nothing good comes out of my work. So I felt like it's very
Right.
demotivating. So I kind of can relate to that. So yeah,
And to follow up on that,
yeah.
considering that you want to like talk about women in the workplace and stuff, like, so that team was all women, and my boss was a woman, and
Oh,
it quickly devolved into like a middle school situation. Like, remember when we were 13 and everybody was like fighting over stupid things. Um, and I think that it gave me a real bad taste in my mouth about working in a whole team. I was so excited to work with this team of all women. I was like, oh, whole team of women in technology. That's unheard of, and it gave me such a bad taste because this boss of mine was a real gatekeeper. Like, she did not want to share her knowledge and support her team. Rather, she wanted to put people down. And I think that, you know, we as women, especially in cybersecurity, because there aren't that many of us, that we have to really be careful not to be gatekeepers and help the people that are coming up behind us.
yeah, it reflects on the boss actually. Yeah, so
Hmm.
that she was like
Yeah,
insecure about something, or yeah, no, maybe
yeah,
she was scared that if she shares the knowledge, then you're coming after her job or something. But that, yeah, reflects really badly on her because, like as you said, there's like not many of us in the industry, so we should be supportive with each other and like pull the next person up. So if I'm not succeeding, then maybe she can, right? So that's what I believe we should do.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there is a question in the chat to something that you said before. Uh, do you also take care of the company playbooks and incident response for incident
No,
response? Okay.
that's a whole nother team. The hospital system I work for is pretty large. It's a major hospital system in the United States. Um, so there are, I think, maybe 40,000 people that work for my company. So it's a pretty big, the the I mean, I'm just in the risk analyst area, like there are people who take take on different way all these other jobs. There's so many different ways and places where you could be.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for answering that one. No more questions in the chat for now. So next one is a bit like advice based. So what advice would you give to young women? Like it doesn't have to be young. Like all kinds of all women who are interested in pursuing a career in cybersecurity.
Ask a lot of questions. um, Learn as much as you can. Find a mentor or mentor, find a mentor, be a mentee. um, I think that, make a lot, and a network, find other people who are similar to you. um, I think I've told you personally on Dorota, that like every day, and this is how we met, I think. um, every day that I listen to a cybersecurity podcast called the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, Simply Cyber, and I have made so many friends there, and connections, and it's the networking itself, I think, is just key. Because if you don't know something, and you're not going to know something everything, um, don't pretend you know everything. You can ask somebody else, and generally people will be happy to help and answer your question.
Yeah, from their experience.
Because they have different experiences than you do.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great advice actually, because I'm going to talk about myself again, but quickly. Sometimes I feel like I'm like maybe scared is not the best word, but like I don't go asking the questions because I think I should figure out it myself for some reason. But then, like a lot of time passes and I still don't have the answer. But if I would ask someone, then they would like explain things to me, and like I will learn something instead of like trying to bang my head over the wall, trying to, like it's maybe some kind of like a pride thing sometimes. So that's a very good advice, and networking is very important if you want to
Mhm.
enter an industry. And also like if you like enter in the industry, then someone could like see your potential and like see that you want to learn and you have something about yourself, like maybe grit, and like offer you a job because you fit, or he heard, or she heard about some job opportunity that is just opening uh, with their friend or someone that they know. So yeah, that's like super important. And another one, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, and how do you envision the role of women in cybersecurity evolving in the future?
I have no idea where I'm gonna be in 5 to 10 years. I don't know
Yeah,
where I'm gonna
exactly.
be next week.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so, obviously, I hope I'm still in cybersecurity. I mean, I love that it's different every single day. Um, I don't know. Hopefully, I'm still doing it because it makes me happy. Um, but I don't have any, as I told you, I'm on my 4th career. I'm at a point where I'm just wanna be happy in my day-to-day job, so if something exciting comes about, like where, oh, well, I, like, become, like, some manager, I don't know, owner of a company or whatever, sure, I might take it, but right now I'm just kinda content where I am.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
and
way.
it doesn't mean that I'm not still moving forward. It just means that I have no idea what's going to come next because the techno also you have to remember the technology is changing so fast. I mean, 10 years ago, could you have imagined AI?
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, but what you said that it's changing so fast, and I have no idea when I'm going to be. And like the first thing that I thought was, oh, how exciting, because like it's like wonderful things could happen to you, like like yeah, I think it's like an adventure. You're on a path, and you don't know what will happen next. So maybe amazing things are waiting for you there. Next step. So yeah, okay. I'm a bit of a dreamer, so okay. Next one, because you mentioned simply cyber. So, what source of what sources do you use to get yourself knowledgeable on the newest cybersecurity related topics and news? Like, maybe like so network, or like group of friends, or like maybe newspaper or some web pages. Like, what would those be?
Oh, I listen to the Simply Cybers daily threat brief every single day with Jerry Osher, Dr. Jerry Osher. I mean, that's where I get all my cybersecurity news. Um, and I've learned a lot there too. Um, so I think that's probably my primary source.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's a good choice as well. Okay, next one. Are there any emerging threats or technologies that you're excited about, and how do you think they impact the field of cybersecurity?
Well, I have to say the answer that everybody else is giving is AI. It's kind of scary. Um, the deep fakes are scary.
Yeah,
People can't trust what they see and hear anymore, and that's that's just something that's beyond our comprehend. It's beyond anybody's comprehension. Like, we always used to be able to believe what we see and hear. Like, you think about like the old movies where, they're like the old noir new movies where they're like, I saw that person on the corner and he was smoking a cigarette talking to that guy and that's why he's guilty. I don't know. Um, but you just can't believe what you see anymore. Like, and AI is just changing things every single day. It's just doubling and moving so fast. It's so hard to comprehend.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and also like with the meta glasses, was it? That I feel like our
Hmm.
privacy is under attack, and like there are like platforms selling our data to other platforms that are creating like a virtual image of you, like what do you like, what you don't like, who are you, like a file, like you watch in like the police movies, then they open a drawer and there's a file. So maybe some company already has a file on you and they know everything. And there's like a virtual clone. I think that's scary. Like if I imagine,
Yeah.
yeah,
The data that's out there about each of us is ubiquitous. It's like everywhere all at once. Like it's just I actually just wrote a story about this, which I'm trying to get published. It's about, like there's just so many tiny little fragments everywhere. And it's so easy to just within minutes, like build a profile of somebody, based on things that you thought were safe, you know. So it's scary out there.
yeah, exactly. And like there was a video. It's like 10 years old, so I'm sure everyone's seen this one with a girl that is sharing a picture of, I don't know what what was that about exactly, but like she's sharing a picture and that's on Facebook, and then someone like a threat actor comes and picks from her Facebook all the data, and
Hmm.
they know details for her credit card, and they can
Yeah.
like use it for scam next because she shared too much. Or sometimes like people take a selfie and they're like behind them they're like monitors they use for work, and you can get some data from what is like behind them. Or it's like some people, like what I'm trying to say is we should like be more cautious what we share online, and like yeah, make sure
Yeah.
that our private lives are like not for display. And yeah, as much as that's possible in today's age, like everyone is sharing everything, but there's like try to find maybe balance, not to, I don't know, maybe share a picture of your ID or your house keys, or I don't know, your license plates of your car, stuff like that. So because that makes, even I saw if someone is like really good and innocent, they can find your house
Yes.
looking at what kind of like a grass on your lawn you have, which side it's like
Mhm.
it's directed, what color it is, and what's from which side the sun sets, or like like
Mhm.
the angles of stuff, and like if there's like a building, what colors of the build, like there's like uh yes, sometimes it's like people have mad skills, and that's like really scary, like with that kind of like information someone can locate you on the map, and oh, this is where you live, this is your address. Yeah,
I'm fascinated by OSINT. I really am.
yeah,
Open source and investigation. I just, as I told you, I actually just wrote a story. I'm working on a story, hoping to get it published about OSINT. Um, and it's just amazing how quickly information can be collected,
exactly.
but based on what you're saying. And like, they're creative. They're creative. And it's like, thank goodness there are good guys out there, but there are a lot of bad guys who are also doing the same thing, can detect like where photograph is taken based on the shadows. You can find um somebody's you can find out what car somebody has based on like just going on Google Maps and seeing what cars are in the driveway, like it's I'm
Yeah,
fascinated by it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So okay. But that as a social engineer that like is preparing sometimes. So I agree with you, and like very easy to find a lot of information on the person by just googling them, their name, and it's like yeah, it's like an open book pretty much.
Mhm.
Okay, but I wanted to ask, like, you kind of answered that question already, but maybe like from a different angle a bit. So, what advice would you give to someone interested in pursuing career in infosec? What skills or experiences do you think are most essential for success in this field? And uh, like, what would like be at your path to go? So, pursuing a degree, certification, hands-on labs, like, what really matters? Like, what is the most important? Like all of those, or maybe you would pick one. Yeah,
I think it depends on what you're pursuing, and because there's so many different careers in infosec, like, it's amazing. Like, for me, I can only talk for myself. Um, I'm studying for CISP right now, and I'm learning a lot there. Um, and as I said, I keep up with the news every day. Um, I think I'm getting more out of the studying for the CISP than I mean, yeah, if I get the certification, great, but at least I know I'll come away with, you know, educating myself. And then I always have like some kind of project on the side. Um, that's just me because I like to stay busy. Um, in my case, I was, writing an article or two, but I think uh, if somebody wants to, I think it's a combination of all three, and it depends on what they're pursuing. You know, I think that I mean, I'd love to have CISB behind my name, but if I don't get it, that's okay. I still got all the education. Um, and a lot of people think, oh, well, I can have all these different certifications, whatnot. I think the degree part, um, I don't think it necessarily matters that much. Like, yeah, you can go and have like a I don't have a degree in cybersecurity. My degree is in journalism, but um, I've been able to use my skills in that in my current career. So I guess the pivoting is also important, as far as understanding what skills can be applied where.
yeah. I just saw that scene from Friends. Pivot, pivot with the couch.
Pivot, pivot. Yeah, I know. Every time I say that word, I think of that.
Okay, thank you. That's actually a good answer. And like there are like a lot of skills that you can use. For example, I had some skills from my first job that I thought, okay, I wasted 8 years of my life there, but turns out those skills are useful for me to me right now. So it's like you never lose like time in some like job or experience. There's like always like it's growing and yeah, you can use that later because there's transferable skills or yeah, what can help you in any industry. Okay, and what are there any specific tools or techniques that you feel are particularly underutilized or overlooked in the field?
Communication.
Oh yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't know as far as specific tools. That's a really broad question.
yeah.
Um,
But actually, that's a good answer because like from I I am pen tester, so I thought, okay, I'm going to pen testing because I like like hacking into boxes, but I don't really like being on meetings. So, but then to my surprise, you have scoping meetings. You have to write a report and explain to the client, and so there's
yeah.
a lot of talking and communication, and even like if you're like social engineering someone and having like phishing calls, then that's communication too. So It's like sometimes we, want to just be left alone and just hack all the things, but it's like half of the job. It's like talking to other people and explaining things in ways that they can understand, like not your technical jargon, but like business friendly language for
Yeah,
the people that
yeah,
make
yeah,
decisions. Yeah.
exactly. If you can't explain what you do to the business, then they're not going to see a reason to pay you. That's that's the
Yeah.
bottom line. The business, they're the ones has to you have to think in terms of what they need, and if I mean, yeah, it's fun to do all the hacking stuff. I wish I could do what you do. Um, but you have to explain. I would. Somebody else told me this too. Like, people get into like hacking because they think it's cool and like that's all they
Yeah.
see on TV. But then they don't like to write the report afterwards about what they did and why they did it and what it means.
Yeah, actually, I thought it's the same. I mean, I used to think that I'm like very good in writing reports, and then turns out it's like not that easy because you have to be also good in explaining the technical things to business friendly, and that's like another level of like you don't have to so you have to step out of your shoes of a pen tester and step into the shoes of like CEO of a company
Hmm.
and write it in a way so he could have an answer why should I care about your SQL injection or something.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another level of like strategizing and thinking about the same thing, but like in a different way, repackaging it in a way. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
sometimes I think that's actually a difficult task if you like very like technical and like like this. Yeah. So thank you. That's a good answer, and maybe think about that reporting reporting challenges. Yeah. Okay. Another question is one book every security professional should read, in your opinion.
I'll be honest, I have not read a lot of cybersecurity books. That said, I did you told me this question ahead of time, and I did find one book that I really loved, and it's called Fake by, Perry Carpenter.
Oh, I like.
It's
Oh
about
yeah,
deepfakes.
he's super smart guy.
It's Yeah, and I mean, this came out, like, a year or 2 ago, and even so, like, now I think a lot of these things have changed and evolved. Um, yeah, I'm a big Perry Carpenter fan. Um, I he has a podcast. I think it's also called Fake, but they really talk about a lot of like AI. I haven't listened to it in a while, but talk a lot about AI and how AI has evolved. But this book, what I liked about it was really clear and understandable, and um, I just think that people need to. It goes back to what I was saying about like how I'm kind of nervous about like the social engineering and how AI is affecting it. You know, we can't trust what we see and hear anymore. So how do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, that's good and very important.
When you're doing
Actually, yeah, yeah.
when you're doing pen testing, do you use AI and deepfakes? I don't know. I don't know a lot about what you do.
Uh, Not at this moment, but I actually am thinking about like when you were talking about it, I was thinking that it's actually a good idea to start sharing like maybe like for LinkedIn or for the Woman in Red blog, like create some deep fake and like talk about that and share like my experiences. So it's an interesting topic actually, and like could help if I learn that, then it could help me as well in my engagements. I think. Yeah, I'm using it now, but it's like useful, and I could use it soon. I think. Okay, different like kind of like answered that question, but maybe like from a different angle. So, if you were starting over today with zero experience, how would you approach it, and what direction would you go?
Huh. It's funny you say that because I feel like I've started over like 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I just, I learned as much as I can about it, I take a class, decide if I like it, um, or read a book, or, you know, I think I learn by doing, listen to the news, listen to what's interesting to me, start talking to people, um, find people. I think when I first started, like, I had such a small LinkedIn profile, like, I still do, it's still pretty small, but, like, it was way small because I never used LinkedIn, and I just, like, started talking to my friends, and I said, "Who do you know that's in cybersecurity? Do you know anybody?" And I had another friend who introduced me to this other guy who was, like, a CISO, and started talking to him, and then he introduced me to somebody else. Again, I think it's networking again, the more I think about it, but it's just find people who have the information and ask them questions.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, yeah, that's and I actually that's a fair point. So I was like uh, thinking, how do I, for example, find a sponsor for my podcast? And so I actually asked Jerry Ogier about that, and he said, "Oh, but that's easy. The same way as you are looking for a job or your employer, you just go out there and ask, and someone answers." So, and I was like, "Yeah, like how?" Like breaking, like my brain. Like, how do I find a sponsor, right, for my podcast? So it's actually, yeah, that's what you said. That's a perfect answer. Thank you. And another one is maybe a bit on the personal side. So if you don't want to, you don't have to answer that one. So can you tell us about the time that you felt like giving up on your goals or dreams, but then something inspired you to keep going? And if yes, what was it? Maybe that was like the horrible job example that pushed you. That was everything happens for a reason. I believe that. So you were in that job to, like help you. It was a trampoline for you to jump somewhere else. But maybe there's like a different example for this one.
No, I would still go back to that terrible job. I was in a pretty bad place, actually. I just couldn't understand, like, I think I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person. I love talking to people, I love making friends with people, and I understand not everyone's gonna like me back, you know, but it got to a point where it was just pure bullying, and I was just like, "I um, can't survive here anymore." But I knew I had to do something to get out. But I just, I knew that I guess the realization that when you can't please somebody or can't make someone happy or can't do the job that somebody needs you to do, then you need to, like, realize that you can't do the job or please somebody and just walk away.
Yeah, exactly. And like sometimes it's maybe a bad example, but sometimes women meet a guy that they're like totally not compatible, and she said, "I'll fix him," but like it's not your job to fix him. He should go to therapy or something, and you should step away from the relationship and create a boundary, like you said. If you're not like the environment is not right for you, then you should walk away and like not waste your energy and your years on that job. And sometimes there's also like this example of for example a bottle of water could be, I don't know what are the prices, but let's say $2 in the store, but then it's $6 on the airport. So it's the same bottle of water, but what changed? The environment was better, and the $6 maybe it's a better environment, like more nurturing. So you shouldn't stay uh, somewhere that is not like right for you and like think, oh, it's my fault. I'm like useless or like something. But
Mhm.
believe in yourself and your value enough to find the right environment for yourself where you can thrive and like grow. And yeah, that's actually, yeah, perfect answer as well. Thank you.
You said it. You just said it.
Yeah.
The whole thing, you just need to change your environment and, like, figure out, like, you have to know your worth, like, know you're not if you're not if you're not appreciated somewhere, you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and somewhere else you be valued and loved, and yeah, and not stepped on and like bullied. So
Right. And I have to say that the end of that story is I found this wonderful the job that I have now, and I love my job. I love the people I work with. I'm inspired every day because I work with really cool people and I'm learning new things. And, sometimes, you worry about like all these things that might happen if you make the change. And
yeah,
then when you make the change, it actually ends up being okay.
yeah, it's like sometimes they're like it's like very human, and that's I think that's how human
Hmm.
brain works. That we prefer the known devil or like the known hell from unknown something, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it's heaven, maybe it's not going, but I think we should believe and like love ourselves enough to like believe that everything is going to be fine and I will figure it out and I'm strong and I'm smart and I'm capable. So whatever life is going to throw at me, I will like figure it out and I'm going to be good. So and then try something else. If you're like suffering and your life, like, think about like 5 minutes about how short your life is, and and we don't really have the same years like given to us. Someone could have like an accident or be sick or something could happen earlier, and then you're gone, and you will not live up to like till you're 100. So you should live now and not like wait for tomorrow. Then somewhere something will happen. Then so I think that's like very important to remember that you should live now, and if now is like giving you a lot of pain, and so then you should move on and like grow into some like try at least try to do better for yourself, and yeah, try something else. Yeah, at least that's what I believe. Okay, what advice would you give yourself if you go back in time 10 years? And I have like four questions left.
Uh, this advice I just gave you, I would give
Yeah,
myself. Just figure out what you need to like. I am the kind of person that if I'm going back 10 years, then I need to figure out what I need to know. But I guess from a different angle, I would tell myself to relax. Um, I don't know. I think I was like very worried a lot. I- In my younger years, I was very worried about like being perfect and making mistakes and, what will people think if I made a mistake? And, I just noticed the other day I made a mistake at work and my boss called me out of it and I fixed it and it was fine. It was all good. It was like a really weird experience almost. So I was like, wait a minute. I didn't get upset. I didn't think that like the world was ending. I made a mistake and I fixed it and I moved on.
yeah, that's great. That's growth.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like yeah, I was the same. So I was worrying a lot and like having all those negative scenarios like to something that never happened. So but then I realized, okay, so but what if I spend the same amount of energy that I spend on like worrying, thinking of like the imaginary scenarios that never happened? So what if I spend that energy on like believing something good will happen, on learning, on like I don't know, loving myself, on like doing things that make me happy, and like yeah, I did all of that, and like I'm like more happy in my life and not like miserable and like seeing everything like shades of gray and like black colors, So shades of gray sounds a bit, but yeah, like very dark colors. So now I have like pink glasses on. I took them off actually. Pretty pink glasses that I wear, and they They make me happy. I have them on LinkedIn actually, on a picture. So, and then I look everything with like positive energy and like a different mindset. Like, and like
Hmm.
as you said, like you made a mistake, but then you fixed it, and you probably learned something in the process. So it was like it was not really a mistake. It was a learning opportunity, right? Because
Yeah,
you learned and you moved on, and you will probably not do that mistake again.
it's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Like, I just thought of something else. Oh, I also, so I, if you haven't guessed, I have a lot of anxiety in general, like, and I feel like I finally have it under control. And that was like when I made a mistake, I'd have a lot of anxiety. But in some ways, they, in a weird way, and I just thought of this, the anxiety I think helps me be better at my job when it comes to risk. And it's just totally out of the blue. Like just because like I'm constantly thinking of like 5 million different scenarios, like what could happen. And I'm really good at coming up with a lot of scenarios. So at least for myself. So I'm trying to apply that to like my job. Like what could happen if this happens, if this one event happens. I don't know. That's a side note.
Yeah, yeah. So that all that you are, like who you are as a person, makes you a natural at your job. So that's a perfect fit. See, it all makes sense. Okay. What message would you like to convey to our listeners who are just starting out in their own careers, especially those from underrepresented groups, or maybe like yeah, yeah, that maybe I will finish. I wanted to add women here, but on the represented groups, I guess covers that.
Network, show people what you can do,
Yeah,
make friends, you know, join groups. I mean, if you're not listening to, like, I have an online cyber group that I go to, but like, I also started going to like my local cybersecurity meetups and just make friends. I know it's hard I know some people, I'm the kind of person, I will talk to anybody and everyone, but find a way to like connect with other people that do the things that you want to do. Like, as I said, like, I asked my friends, "Do you know anybody in cybersecurity?" And I found somebody who knows somebody, and I sent them a message and I said, "Hey, can we talk? Can you tell me about what you do? I'm just interested in what's involved in what you do. Do I know if that's something that will be interesting to me?"
yeah, and also like you mentioned something. I even take a note of that because that was very smart. Show people what you are good at, and that's
Mhm.
perfect. That's a very short like message, but has so much depth and importance to it. And that's something that not many people maybe know, that you have to advertise yourself and talk about yourself well in like environments and even at work, and then that will make you grow faster and maybe get promoted faster and people noticing you, because if you talk good about yourself, people start thinking like that about you, right? So that's, for example, why I'm building the personal brand on LinkedIn. So I'm like shouting from the rooftops, okay, I'm amazing. And then people
You are
like,
amazing.
I mean, yeah, it was a long journey for me to believe that actually, because I was like very shy and yeah, I didn't have like a very high, I don't know, belief in myself when I was in my 20s. But now yeah, I kind of cool. I'm kind of cool, you know. so,
You're very
so,
cool.
so,
You're very cool.
so yeah, that's what the LinkedIn is for. So I'm just trying to say, if you want to succeed and like then build your brand, like find something that is very special about you and start sharing that. Maybe you have like a unique hobby, then start sharing that, create a project, start writing about it, record videos, create content, and then people will, like more people will like know you by looking at what you like put out there on the internet, and then some could recommend you, and kind of like you're building trust with people that you don't know yet, kind of, because they already know you, then they know that you're cool, and okay, let's hire her. So yeah, that could be how it works, you know?
Can I add to that?
Yeah, of course.
So one of the things that I did when I was applying for jobs was I wrote articles about something that interested me just because I could, and
Exactly.
I researched and I wrote articles and I just sent them to the person who was interviewing with, "Hey, do you want to read this? I wrote this, I know it has nothing to do with this job, but I wrote this." Um, so I want them to remember, who I am, "Oh, that's the girl that sent that article." Or like if I'm at a networking conference, like
That's
some
great.
kind of conference, I on the side, I'm actually kind of creative and like I have a Cricut machine and I like to make stickers and t-shirts. And I like to make stickers and like make my own stickers and I pass them out at conferences, because then I'm that girl who gave you a sticker and you remember who I am, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't have my stickers here, but I have it on the microphone. So I printed those last year, and I was giving them to people on conferences and like leaving them on tables on like DevCon, and then I saw them glued to like the walls, and someone sending me a picture from like a different conference that I wasn't even there. There was like that sticker was glued somewhere there. So that's I think that's like really cool and very nice idea. And it was like making me kind of like laugh at first that we are like exchanging stickers like kids at first, but then I'm a big kid. I own it, you know, like I like stickers.
Yeah,
I like uh,
exactly.
I like shiny badges as well. They're like very, you know, like that's really cool. Yeah. So I have three more questions. Burnout prevention. That one is a bit difficult, maybe. Burnout prevention and maybe imposter syndrome. If you could, like, if you have some thoughts on that, what are the ways and your thoughts about the topic?
Oh my God, I have imposter syndrome every single day. Um, I'm constantly, again, that's the anxiety that I have. Like, and sometimes it's easier to control than others. Sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, I posted that in the wrong place. What are people going to think of me? They're going to think I'm like this crazy person, or I made a mistake and like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. Like I go down that
Dark path.
path, the rabbit hole, the dark path. And it's just like, have to like make myself stop. So the way that I do that is um I try to exercise every single day um in some fashion. I was walking every day, every morning, but I had to stop because I broke my toe.
Oh,
So I just regrouped and I started riding a bike, at the gym. But I have to, if I get the endorphins up, then it helps with the anxiety and the imposter syndrome. Like, I am the only woman on my immediate team, but
ooh,
I kinda like, yeah, it's but I kinda like it, I mean, it's interesting, like, going from a team of all women to a team of all men. It's a different vibe for sure. But, um, I also go to a lot of concerts, and I, like, have to have my side thing, I like to travel, and
mm-hmm.
I meet people in those communities and the concert communities, and, um, something about being at the front of a stadium at the stage, like, right at the stage in, like, a huge arena or stadium, and, like, the band's like, I mean, I will get up and I will stand in line so I can get to the front. Um, something about that, and, the music just, it's like it's something I realized a while back that it's just something that makes me happy, and that, you know, I'm gonna if I'm gonna be if I'm happy in those moments, and I'm not thinking about or worrying about other things, then I'm gonna try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, that's what life is about. I think to do
Yeah.
a lot of the things. I think that's how people get depressed because they only uh, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work.
Mhm.
It's like not no things that like really brings you joy and like makes you like very happy and like happy to be alive. Like like you have to have more of those. Like even like if it's like 10 minutes a day and you go on a walk in the morning to see the sunset or something. So have like those like tiny joys of life and like really slow down and notice them. Kind of like they say, smell the roses or something. But
Mhm.
like really notice the tiny. Well, maybe you have like very tasty coffee, so you like take it slow and like spend 5 minutes in the morning to like really like sit there and like drink that coffee and oh, that's like really, like, well, that's what I'm talking about. And you said something about uh, that what will people would think that you did it in the wrong place. You did like a mistake, but like I was like that, and I was like really spinning out of control, thinking what people like think of me, and like feeling bad, like someone looked at me wrong, and I was like, like oh my god, like, and then I figured out like really people like if everyone is like thinking about all kinds of things like I am, then actually no one really cares about what I did,
No one cares.
no
They
one
don't
gives a shit,
care. Nobody
right? So why
nobody
am I like what is like the over processing in my brain here? So when I realized that it's like oh nobody cares, like it's like different, not
No
like
one
I'm
cares.
depressed
It's all
that no
about
one
them.
cares.
It's all about
Yeah.
them. It's about them. And like that's yeah, it comes back to like, if somebody's having a bad day, it's about them.
Yeah,
Like they're not necessarily mad at you for like or think you're, I don't know. It's about them. Like the people who are worth being around will think, "Oh yeah, she's just quirky."
yeah,
She made a silly mistake, no big deal, whatever. Or they won't think of it at all or won't even care, because they're all caught up in their own thing.
yeah,
And like,
exactly.
so you have to turn it around. You have to like say to yourself, okay, stop, think about this. Do they really give a crap like if you made this mistake or not? Like, are you affecting them in like such a terrible way that you're going to like be banned forever? Like, no. Yeah.
Yeah, I had
So
like yeah when for me very therapeutic thing was I hope I will not get cancelled, but because going to be not a nice word here, but I started saying oh fuck it like a lot, like
exactly.
every few minutes. Oh fuck, like why do I care? Like oh, and that really helped me. And I like yeah, it's like I don't really care. Uh, what others think of me anymore. It's like, and that helped me to, like grow stronger and be more confident and do like more braver things, like even starting a podcast or going about after my dreams or because like nobody cares and like my life is my life. It's like my own, and I take responsibility for everything, every mistake that I make. And if someone has a problem with that, then that's not my problem. That's in their heads, like that's their problem, right? So I have no impact on what is happening in someone else's brain. So like it's not my, like it's off my shoulders, and like I'm going.
I can't say that I'm like completely there, because I am always constantly like wondering what's going on in the room and like what people are thinking, but that's a good goal.
Yeah, it's like because I think sometimes uh maybe something happens when we are like very young, and then we learn. I know that I was like that, so then I learned to read the room fast and then adjust my how I am to what is happening in the room. So, but yeah. So, but what about we flip the page and let's let like you go there confidently, like a Wonder Woman, or like this, and then let everyone else adjust to you because you're awesome. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And I also wanted to add, you said team of only women, and I had like PTSD flashback of my first job when there was like only women, and I was mobbed by my manager as well. And my my friends, they weren't really my friends, but like people, like women in the team that were just like trying to backstab you. So not all women like environments are like very nurturing,
I know.
and
I hope
I
not.
it's like makes me sad because it's not like what I believe should happen. But for some reason, only women environments are like very competitive. But when I moved into IT and I worked with only men, I had so much fun. I loved it. So and yeah, and that was a kind of like a breath of fresh air that men treated me in a like a different way, kind of, and they talked with me like they're equals, and like they treated me like I'm a man too, kind of. So I was, yeah, it felt nice to be like in that kind of environment. Okay, I will stop talking about myself so much, and I wanted to ask you
Can I
to,
just add to
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Can I add one thing? I'm sorry.
sure, yeah,
I just I've often wondered, like, especially in cybersecurity when there's not that many of us, right? And it kind of goes back to like the gatekeeping type thing. Like, I would hope, I don't know, because I haven't like, I would hope and I want to be part of a group of working women, like where I'm in a community or not even an office that was all women and we all worked together and there wasn't that competitive thing going on and there wasn't that underlying relationship thing. And I think it might be a difference between how men and women relate to each other. I don't know. It's just, it's hard to, I wonder how that can be remedied, because so many women have so many important things to contribute to cybersecurity,
May-
and like
maybe in with good
they're,
leadership.
yeah, leadership I think is so important. This in the case that I was in, I had bad leadership, so that's what I knew.
Yeah,
But I would hope, I mean, I had such hopes for it and I like went into it thinking like this will be great, but unfortunately I was disappointed.
yeah, that I'm sad to hear that actually. Okay,
But I would hope that like there are other people out there that are not having that same problem.
yeah, me too. So, two last questions: favorite hacker movie and favorite food.
But you're gonna laugh about my favorite hacker movie because it's
Oh,
I think
why?
a little bit different from what other people use. My favorite hacker movie is Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Oh, I love that movie.
where he complains that you know his sister got the car, but he got the computer, and then he hacks into school to like change his grades because the principal was like 9 times you've been absent 9 times, and then like you watch it like just like back to like 2 or 3. Oh man, I always laugh, but that's my favorite. That's probably my favorite hacker movie.
Yeah, I love that movie too. That's a great choice. I haven't heard that one here because everyone say, "Oh, The Matrix, Mr. Robot, Sneakers, War Games, Hackers," and those like movies repeat themselves. But that's like very original, and I do agree that it's a good example of a hacker movie. So yeah, thank you. And your favorite food?
Probably Mexican food. I you put chips and salsa in front of me and or a good taco in front of
Here
me,
we
I'm
go.
happy.
Yeah, yeah,
In fact, I'm thinking about having that for dinner tonight. Good taco.
yeah. Actually, yeah, yeah. That's actually fair. Okay, I got a bit yeah. hungry here too. So at the end, if you want to share something with the people that were watching, with the viewers, or like I don't know, some golden thoughts of Mara, like something motivational at the end, now is your time. Going to wrap up.
Oh, geez. Pressure. Something motivational. I don't know. Just, keep keep trying to figure out what you want and move towards it, towards that goal. Um, if you have a goal, do what you have to do to get to it, try to turn down the noise and the excuses and just go for it.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect thing to say. Thank you. Uh, it's like I'm trying to share, follow your dreams a lot on LinkedIn because that's what I did, and I'm happy, and I wasn't happy before. So, if you can like, it's like an easy thing to do, and it's like kind of like being a dreamer and doing what they tell you to do when you were a kid, kind of in in cartoons, right, or like in fairy tales. Well, it's so easy, but if you just do it and like, then you can become who you were meant to be, kind of. That's what I believe, and I think if you do that
Mhm.
and you become that person, then that's really beautiful, and like you feel like, okay, I my life is fulfilled, and yeah, kind of. So thank you. That's like very beautiful thing to say. Okay, I that's all of the questions that I had for today. I wanted to thank you for coming and for agreeing to come on Inspiring Ladies of Cyber and talking with me. That was like an amazing conversation. I was a bit tired, so maybe not so quick on the game here, but overall, I think it went great. So thank you again, and I'm going to wave and change the screen. And yeah, I appreciate you a lot, Mara. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Bye. So I wanted also to share my social media if someone didn't see them. And in the chat, we had social media of Mara if you want to follow her. And that's going to be all for today. See you next week. Bye.